This is Hops and Spirits Bar Conversations. Come for the craft beer, bourbon, whiskey, and great drinks. Stay for the conversations. Here's your host, Jonathan Green.
Welcome in. We have another fun episode for you this week. It's going to be a little different here on the Bar Conversations. No tasting notes, but no flight night either. But I figure I'm going to give you an update on a few fun things that we've got going on here before we get into fun bar conversations with up-and-coming country star Presley Tennant. And she's also the first one that's been under the age of 21 and not really legal yet to drink. So we had to change up kind of what she's drinking. But it's a fun conversation, a really cool one there. And like I said, got a lot of updates for you because so much has been going on here at Hops and Spirits. And obviously, you know, the Bar Conversation comes out every week. If you haven't yet, check out our other podcast, the Q&A, Questions and Alcohol, where we talk about drinks, food, art in Kentucky and beyond. It's a lot of fun. It's currently just a video cast, but here very, very soon, it'll also be a podcast that you can listen for the audio on at least Apple and Spotify. It's a lot of fun, especially if you live in the Kentucky area or greater Kentucky region, you know, Cincinnati, Louisville, and southern Indiana, where you get to come visit, or you're just coming to visit and you want to find some cool places to either eat, some cool artisans to check out while you're on a trip, and of course great drinks, whether they're beer or other types of spirits. That's a lot of fun, and we also are switching some things up. Our Give It a Try highlights are kind of becoming our taste test, where we actually taste test different things, whether it's a flavored whiskey, moonshine, bourbon whiskey, or even things that just kind of have alcohol in them. Think food and maybe stuff that you never imagined before. Those are our Give It a Try taste tests, which are out now on our social media and our website. And then our Cocktail 30s also changed a little bit, where I try a different cocktail recipe each week, let you know if I like it or not. And then we try to keep those simple so that you're able to actually try those at home, and it doesn't take you going out and buying 50 different ingredients, or making a whole bunch of syrups or finding different liqueurs that you might only use once. Try to keep those very simple and things that you might actually have at home or are easily able to get. It's a lot of fun, and we're also doing some tips from Cocktail 30 with our experts like Jake Solik, who you hear on Tasting Notes. And don't be surprised if you see some recipes that are fun to try that might be a little more involved on our website at hopspirits.com. And if you're not, check that out, because a lot of great stuff is there. You can find all of our past episodes for podcast, interviews, and so forth there at hopspirits.com. And if you're not following us, do so at hopspirits, all one word, on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and we're also on YouTube. But enough of me, let's get to the show.
Remember to check out Hops and Spirits on social media at Hop Spirits, all one word, on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also find Hops and Spirits on YouTube and at hopspirits.com.
Us here on the Bar Conversations is a singer-songwriter, up-and-coming country artist, Presley Tennant. Did I say that right? Because I didn't even ask you before we recorded.
You definitely said it right. You're totally fine.
Because I was like, it seems so simple to say, but it could be the one time I got confident and it all went wrong.
Hey, you'd be surprised with how many times people could actually butcher, like, Presley. I get, like, Tennant maybe, but, like, Presley, they're either, like, Priestley or, I don't know. It's different every time. Sometimes. But for the most part, it's pretty easy.
Well, normally mine is more on the spelling, just because of Jonathan Green. I have an extra E, Jonathan. You can kind of go goofy, but they never say it wrong. Although I do get called other names, but that's a whole different story. So now, before we got on, I was asking how old you were, because I know you were on The Voice not long ago, and you were 16 at that time?
I was, yeah.
So I was like, I don't think she's quite 21, and usually we always talk about what you're drinking tonight, and so I figure your drinking, or your guilty pleasure, would be the best way we can go about this. What's your favorite? What's a guilty pleasure drink for you that's non-alcoholic, since you haven't gotten to the correct age yet?
I really love an Arnold Palmer. I love Arnold Palmers with everything with me. They are so good. It's like not too sweet, but like, I don't know. It's just very nice. Yeah.
I like that. I like that. And for me, it's I love. I have a problem with Coke Zero, and tonight I went with my true guilty pleasure on the alcoholic side is cheap whiskey and Coke Zero. So that's what I'm enjoying tonight. Nice $9 bottle. So I'm going high class tonight. But I always enjoy just starting conversations kind of on a lighter note. So with that said, what's something unique about you that folks might not know, or at least probably shouldn't know about you? That just something goofy that you can do, or that you like to share with folks?
So I have two of them.
Mm.
One of them is really nerdy, and the other one is just kind of like, what the heck is this? Um, the first one is I know the entirety of the periodic table, like elements of the periodic table. I've just known it since middle school, and it's stuck with me. Um, and I can sing and talk with my mouth closed.
Oh.
So yeah, they're I if somebody asks if I have a party trick, I'm gonna say that's it, but it's not a good one. I mean, if I'm really feeling good, then I might give them both at the same time and sing the periodic of the table or whatever elements of the periodic table with my mouth closed. Like you never know what you're gonna get.
I like. I mean, how did you discover that? Like, how does that get discovered as a unique talent?
Well, I mean, which one?
Well, the one I get, because in theory you had to learn it for school, and then it just stuck with you. For me, it did not stick with me. The periodic
Well,
table. I know like a couple of them, but that's it.
no, I was just for that one. I was just really excited, and I was like, "Oh my god!" But you know what? It got me out of a final, so I was very happy about it. I had to just sing it for the class, and I was like, "Great!" And he's like, "No final for you." And I said, "Perfect. Sounds good. I will do this every time." The other one, I don't know. I figured it out when I was like 5. I think I watched somebody do it, and I was like, "Oh, I want to try that." And then I like figured it out, and I was like, "Oh, all right, nice." And I've kind of been doing it ever.
Just stuck with it.
Yeah, yeah.
I like that. Now you talk about singing, whether it's the periodic table or even at 5 singing with your mouth closed. What got you into music? Not just singing around the house, things like that, but maybe actually really got you into music and kind of wanting to learn a little bit more about it and maybe get even better at it.
So when I was about 7, I started taking vocal lessons, and it was something that like my mom wanted me to do because like we go to like the Taco Tuesdays at like our local Mexican restaurant, and they have like karaoke nights there. My mom was like, "Oh, I don't want you to ruin your singing voice," and so like my karaoke voice, and I was like, "Okay, cool," and it sounded really fun to do. So I called the lady myself, and I was like, "Hey, like I'm Presley." I found her. She would come to my house. She'd do vocal lessons, and so I called her, and I was like, "Hey, like I'm Presley. I want to take vocal lessons." And the next day, she called my mom back. I was like, your daughter just try to make vocal lessons. Is this right? Do you know about this?" So that's like where it really like at least first started. So I continued on with that and ended up in a girl group when I was 10 years old. And that's where I was really introduced to the whole music industry scene, of being around people and rehearsals and shows and going to the studio and going to different events and whatnot. And that's where I was like, this is what I love. Like the group was signed to Britney Spears. They were also like working with the Jacksons and Kelly Rowland. So it was really cool people for 10-year-old me. I mean, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, hi, who are you?" No, not always, but I was like, I obviously like know who they are, but I don't have the background. At that time, I didn't have the background of being like, "Oh, I grew up with you." It's like, this is just what I first started to do. And so I really was able to hone in on that, and I loved what I was doing and knew that that was just what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. So after the group fizzled out, I went solo and continued my own thing and started writing my own music and going to the studio and doing shows on my own. And that's where it led me to The Voice. And from The Voice, it's opened up so many incredible doors and opportunities for me, which I'm all very, very grateful for. Like this weekend, I'm really excited about. I'm opening up for Tim McGraw and Dustin Lynch. So I'm very excited about that. And then it's like in a month I'm opening up for Blake Shelton and Curly Pierce and Brett Young. It's like all these incredible names that like the people that I've looked up to for so long, and it's like I'm now like here, and it's like I'm doing the same shows with them, and I'm like, what is my life?
It's a good thing. It's a good thing, and you touched on the Voice too, because if I remember reading correctly, that being on the Voice kind of changed your perspective a little bit, I guess, on who you were as a solo artist. Can you talk about how the Voice kind of changed you a little bit and got you kind of on the path you're on now?
So I went on The Voice when I was 16, and right before The Voice, I really started to I just became like I knew that music wasn't me. I was being led in different directions and being like pushed to be something that I'm not. And I was like, this doesn't feel right with me. Like I'm the one doing this. So it should be like what I want. Like I would need to be happy with myself before I can make everybody else happy. And so I went on The Voice, continuing what I knew, which was like pop music, pop soul, R&B type of thing. And I was like, I went on there and I was like, this is different. I don't know. I'm not like mad at what I was doing, obviously, because I had to go through those trials and tribulations to get to where I am. Because without it, who knows where I would be. But I came off the show with like a whole new perspective, and I was like, oh my God, like I know exactly what I need to do. I mean, I'm from Norco. It's a very like horse town, little area in Southern California. And it's like you can go to Starbucks and there's like you will see people every once in a while like on their horses in the drive-through, that type of thing. It's like the streets are painted red, white, and blue. And so that's always been like a background of mine. Like that's always been like instilled in me. And then coming out of The Voice, I was like, I took like one little look in that direction, and it was like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what's supposed to happen. I'm supposed to be doing this. And it's like that cheesy moment of like this is exactly where I'm supposed to be at. And it's like, I don't know, it's like the little like movie moment that everyone has, and like the character comes to like the realization. It's like a light bulb that like dings, and it's like that type of thing. That's how it felt. It was like so weird, and I was like, is this right? This is right. I like this. This is who I am. And it's like I have been so welcomed with it, and that's probably one of the best feelings to have, to know that people are supportive of what I'm doing. Because I mean, obviously with music you want to reach to an audience, but I didn't know how it was going to be perceived because I was one way, and now I'm different. Like I switched paths, and so for it to be really like welcomed with open arms was really really awesome to know, and a really awesome feeling to have.
Well, I mean, and sometimes things are just meant to be, and things happen at the right times for the right reasons, like you said. And you talk about kind of that new direction. How would you describe your music to someone that gets to listen to it now and doesn't maybe know that background and can just enjoy it for who you are and what you're putting out?
So I take inspiration from anything and everything. I love to try new things, and if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work, and I won't ever let anybody hear it. Or if I really like it, I'm gonna be like, you're listening to it. And so as of right now, my music that is out is very more of like a pop country with a little bit of soul, especially within my new song. It's more of like a soul jazz country, which is something that like a lot of people wouldn't be like, oh, like jazz country, that's not normal, until you hear it and you're like, oh, okay, this yeah, it is kind of that. So I'm really excited for people to hear this song, and that's coming out March 25th. But it's a little bit of like everywhere. Like I don't like to have limitations, but I also know that I still need to be within myself, and so I don't know, it just like it comes from everywhere. But I would say it's like a very like powerful soul, gritty, but with like a little bit of like little flares every once in a while, like little sprinkles on top. That's what those little
I like that. I like that. And does that go in, I guess, maybe to kind of what you grew up listening to and your influences, was just kind of a little bit of, I don't want to say everything, but I mean, you can just hit shuffle on whatever player it is, Spotify, Pandora, iPod. I mean, I don't know, I'm dating myself on some of those, but
oh yeah, it definitely was inspiration taken from everybody. I mean, the people that I look up to, like that I've been looking up to for so long, is like Carrie Underwood, Miranda Lambert, and Chris Stapleton. And so you can definitely hear like influences of them in my music, which I think is really cool because it's like that's what I grew up on, and that's what I really love with different writing styles. Like I love Ashley McBride and Kaylee Hammock's writing style. I love the way they portray the lyrics and how it's like not something that you would necessarily think of, but it's just so clever, and like you can like really visualize what they're saying. That's something that's really cool to me because I always want that. And like when you hear a song, like that's the first thing. If I can't like hear something like, or I can't see something out of the lyrics that I'm listening to, I'm like, oh, okay, like I have to think more about it, but not that it's a bad thing at all, but I just love when I'm able to really like be like, okay, I know exactly what's going on right there and then.
It paints a picture or a movie
Yeah.
or you know, it kind of actually portrays a scene of some sort.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, you kind of mentioned this. You got a new single coming out called "Gamble on You." It drops March 25th. Can you talk a little bit about it? And because it sounds like one, I think I've seen pictures because I think you did a music video with it, and that looked fun. But the lyrics, it's kind of an interesting tone to the song, and just kind of how you know, you talk about those jazz tones and things like that. It's a little different than what people might expect.
Yeah, so I wrote the song last year around this time. And I was in a hotel room and I had a tracking session the next like on that trip, and I still had like one extra song that I wanted to track, but I didn't know which one it was because I liked all the songs that I'd written before, but I was like, you know what? I don't know if I'm like in love with them or I really want to like put it out there and like spend time on it. Um and so I had been talking to this guy that I had liked for a while, and I had this feeling of like I didn't know how he felt, but I knew how I felt, and like if he like all of a sudden stopped talking to me, I was gonna be like crushed, that type of feeling. And so I was like looking through the TV channels, and then all of a sudden, like in the hotel room, and like you know like the set channels that they have, and there's like the poker one that comes on.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh my god, like I had an idea. It was like a little like a light bulb moment again, and it was like, oh my god, gambling. That's kind of cool. And I was like, because I don't know, in gambling, you either like win big or you lose it all. And I feel
Mm-hmm.
like that's also the same thing with like relationships. You either like find your person or you're like don't, and it's your heart's in the gutter and it's like been stomped on like 8,000 times. Um, and I was like, I really hope it doesn't happen to me this way, but I'm gonna write a song about it. And so I wrote the song and I sent it over to my producer and I was like, hey, like, do you like this? And so I came in, he helped me fix out like some of the parts in the arrangement, and we ended up tracking it the next day. And I was like, okay, cool. Um, and then I came back from that trip, and I'm now dating him at this point, and I like I let him like listen to the song, and I like turn the music down really low, and then I like was talking over it, and he was like, can you like not so I can hear it? I was like, now we're dating. It's been a year now, so it's great. And I finally sent him the song like, I don't know, like a month and a half ago, I think. So
And
he
you didn't
finally
talk
got.
over it.
No, I was like, you can listen to it on your own time now. So, but it's been great. I won big.
That's awesome. What did he think of the song? What was he all for it?
Yeah, he it definitely seemed like he was, and I'm very very happy because it was a little scary, and I was like, oh, I wrote a song about you, and we weren't even dating yet. Don't know if you think I'm crazy, but you're the one dating a musician, so that type of feeling. No, but
Yeah.
he really liked it.
Oh,
So,
that's awesome, and hopefully he's the inspiration for other good songs. Hopefully
oh yeah,
nothing heartbreaking.
oh yeah.
You've also released a few other singles. You know, here in the past couple months or in a year, you've got Heaven Sent, Hellbound, Half That Strong, Bite the Bullet. You talk a little bit about those songs because they're a little different, and than kind of the one that you obviously coming out on called Gamble on You. So you talk about that and kind of what drew you to those songs because I know one of them I'm pretty sure is pretty personal to you, right?
Yeah, so our my most recent release was Heaven Sent Hellbound, and that was kind of a funny one also. Like I was watching Lucifer, I think it was, and I was like, oh, like it was. I come up with like the weirdest things, I feel like, but when I say I take inspiration out of everything, I take inspiration out of everything.
I like it.
And so I kind of like I created like a little like story of someone that was going through something and it just went down the wrong path either because of a relationship. That's kind of like how I worded it in that song, but I felt like a lot of people could either with people that are surrounding them, they could be like, oh, okay, like this kind of reminds me of this situation. But the song before that was Half That Strong, and that one I released. I actually wrote the song for my dad's birthday in 2020, and I didn't intend on releasing it. I just was kind of giving it to him as like a way to say like thank you and how much I appreciate and love everything that he does for me, and because I feel like I don't say it enough. And so I was like, well, I mean, I'm not like a very like super emotional person, but I love writing my thoughts out because it's like, I don't know, it's easier for me. And so like my music is all, my personal songs are like really personal to me. And so I just knew that like he would also understand like this is like where my thoughts are, this is where my feelings are. And so even though I may not say it, this is how I'm feeling, but here it is in song form. And so I did that for him, and then that was like November of 2020, and then 2021 came around and it was coming up to Father's Day, and I was like, you know what? I feel like a lot of people can relate to it, even if it's not about like their dads, it's about someone in their life, whether it be like a mom, an aunt, an uncle, a friend's mom, a grandparent, that type of thing. I was like, somebody has that person that's like a hero to them and has shown them everything that they know, and whether or not it's everything that they know, but like help shape them to be the person that they are today. And so I felt like a lot of people could relate to that. And I was like, and what better way to do it than release it on Father's Day, because it was in honor of him. So yeah, that's the story on Half That Strong. And then Bite the Bullet, that one was a fun one I wrote with. I also wrote Half That Strong and Bite the Bullet. I wrote them with two incredible ladies, and that was Mary Sue England and Victoria Banks. And they are phenomenal. I absolutely adore them. And so Bite the Bullet, I just came into like a session and I was like, hey, like I have a really cool idea for like a title. And I was like, Bite the Bullet. And they were like, okay, like that really works with something that we were thinking. They were like, okay, what about like this like beat? And it was like the dun 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 dun, and like that's how I feel. And I was like, oh my gosh, we have to do something for that. And then like I felt like only 30 minutes later, but it was probably a little bit longer than that. But it felt like 30 minutes later, the song was just completely finished, head to toe. And I was all, this is the coolest thing ever. It is so cool how people can come together and like spill everything, or like just come up with an idea and like a little thought, and then all of a sudden they have like a full project just completed. How it came from nothing to the full thing just done in like an hour. It is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Well, I was gonna say, I mean, when you're writing songs, I mean, how, you know, being young and drawing on experiences, is it weird to get I know you say it's kind of great for you to just kind of get your words out. That's like the best way, but then to actually record them or share them with someone else and you know, a producer or something like that. What's that feeling like? Because, you know, a lot of times people are vulnerable on the, especially the very personal songs and so forth. What's that like for you?
So I honestly found it really easy to share like what I have with people that I wouldn't know. Like I feel like that's, a lot of people can say that like when they don't know somebody, it's easier to explain everything or like share their feelings, spill everything. It's only until that the song is done and then I have to go back to like my family and friends and they're like, oh, let me hear it. And I'm like, no. No. But definitely I've gotten used to that now. I mean, a little bit better. I try to be. But in the beginning, with like writing sessions, it's just easy. It's just like what you do type of thing. And I feel so comfortable because I also know it's like a no judgment zone for anything that I write. Nothing is bad and nothing is wrong in songwriting. I mean, there is bad, but there's no wrong. Let's just say that.
I always say you gotta get the bad out to get to the good, you know?
Exactly. And you know what? At that point, sometimes the bad will help inspire something that leads to the good. That's what it is. And so in the beginning, it definitely was like a little, not nerve-wracking, but like, I don't know, it was just like a little, when I don't know the person, it definitely is a little, like, I'm like, oh, okay, like, how far do I go? How do I gauge this? But, like, now I have learned that, like, everybody songwrites, and they all need anything and everything. Like, they'll ask you a million questions about your life, and never once use any of it. So, I was like, you know what, better to be safe than sorry. Here's the full story. It's like an hour long of me just telling the story, and then it's like 15 minutes of like writing the song, and they're like, okay, we're done. And I'm like, great, cool. So
I love that because it's different for everyone, obviously, with their experiences and what they're willing to share and so forth. And what I mean for you, you know, especially when you talk about how you were kind of pop more pop and soul early on in kind of what your journey. Now you're more on the countryside. What's it like actually finding that voice and being able to share that, like actually finding your lane?
For me, it's kind of like, I've never been asked that type of question before. That's kind of like makes me think. It For me, it's really cool, and it's such a nice feeling to know that I get to share and do what I love. Um, and it's received so well because I know not everybody has the like ability to do that, if that makes sense. And it's like I look up to the artists that I grew up with and listen to religiously. I mean, like Kelly Clarkson was one of them. She was like the first ever concert that I've been to. I used to sing her song "Because of You" at like every single like talent show audition near my house or near my town. And so, and then it was like she was my coach, and she had such like a big impact on me already. And then for the fact that me to like musically wise, was a little different. I mean, I'm not a 7-year-old can't relate to like "Because of You" or like that type of thing. We can't, but we could definitely try.
It'd be weird.
But it'd be weird. But it's like at least like because I watched her like do her thing and like I like idolized her in every way. And then I finally got to meet her, and like at that point in time, I'm able to actually fully understand everything, like lyric wise. And there's so much more like, I don't even know, like content, I guess, or like I don't know what the right word.
Like depth, there's so much more behind it, yeah.
Yeah, and so it's like now I'm able to understand it, and like now I know her as a person, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like there's a reason why you like hit me a certain way when I was younger, and I'm still feeling the same way, and so it's like I want to be that person for somebody because of how I looked up to her growing up, and especially now because I can like appreciate everything so much more. I want to be that person for somebody. That is like the biggest thing. Music moves people in so many different ways, and it could even be like the smallest thing, but that's like, oh, like that made my day better, or like I can really relate to this. It's like those types of comments that are really cool and that like really aspire to help me like do what I love even more. It's just like another appreciation of it.
Well, and you mentioned Kelly earlier. You talk about Tim playing with Tim McGraw and things like that. What's it like to share the stage sometimes with these folks that you idolized, and or at least even if it's just opening for them, and kind of getting to do what you do?
It is probably the coolest feeling. One of the coolest feelings I think I'll ever have. I feel like I've said that a lot, but like just because of like I know how or like where they are and like what they have done to get to where they are, and it's a lot of hard work and tears and dedication behind it all. And a lot of people I guess wouldn't necessarily think of that in like the music industry. They're just like, oh, you get to sing and perform all like 24/7. It's like you have no idea what actually is like in the background. Like, yeah, we get to do that, but there's so many more steps that are missed. And so it's like I know for like Tim McGraw, like my dad and I's favorite song growing up was "Don't Take the Girl." And so that is like one, like every time I'd ride to soccer practice, that was the one song that we always had to play. And so it's like, that's really cool to me. And then all of a sudden, like I've sang before him before, like I at a show in Huntington Beach, I sang the national anthem right before him. Coolest thing ever. There was like 25,000 people, and I'm like, oh my god, this is so cool. I was having like a fangirl moment just from like the crowd and the audience. And so it's like, but now I get to have my own set before him. It's like I feel like I'm like I know I'm on the right track, and I know I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
That is awesome. And you talk a little bit about the shows and things like that. Do you have any fun or weird pre-show rituals that you have to go through? Like you have to do it, or otherwise, just not going to be a good night.
So I always before my shows, it's not like a weird one or anything. I go into like this like almost like meditative state, but I don't meditate. I just like stop talking, like go in my own little zone. Need to be by myself, and I like go through the entire show like start to finish, like in my thoughts, And like if somebody's talking to me, like I don't mean to, I've noticed that I do this now, but it's like I was just like zone out, and they're like, Presley, like tapping on my shoulder. They're like, Presley, do you hear me? And I'm like, oh, sorry, I hear you, my bad. But that's just one thing that I always do. But I don't know, this time is a lot different. I have like a full band with me, and so I'm very excited for that instead of just having like an acoustic guitar player. But this time I have a full band, and I'm very excited, and everyone gets along really well, which is really cool. Like all the camaraderie is really awesome to be around, because it's like I'm very fortunate because not many band people like each other that much, so they're all like good friends. So yeah.
I love that, and you kind of talk about, you got the new single "Gamble on You" coming out at the end of the month. Are we getting closer to a debut album or EP, something like that? Hopefully, maybe that you can say.
I can't say too much right now. I just know that I'm working on a lot of new music, and that should be coming out very soon.
That's a good tease. Keep everyone on the edge of their seat. Now, you talk about getting to perform and open up for some folks here soon. I'm guessing some tour dates and being out on the road. What can folks expect from you this year?
You can expect a lot of new music coming out very soon. I have a music video to follow, "Gamble on You," which I'm very excited about. I'm very excited for everyone to finally see it. As well as I'm performing a lot. As of right now, I have a couple show dates confirmed, but I'm not allowed to say just yet until they are. Everything is like that, but the ones that I can say right now are Boots in the Park this week, and that's March 12th, and that's with Tim McGraw, and then Boots in the Park in San Diego, and that's with Blake Shelton, and then I have the Colorado River Run in Bullhead, Arizona on April 22nd, as well as Teentopia on June 25th, and it's like a teen Coachella, which I'm very excited about. It's a little bit of everything, so.
I like that, and I'm guessing if they want to really keep up with you, follow you on all your social media and PresleyTennant.com, and you can, once you're allowed to say it, that'll be where they can find it, right?
On all my social media, if you stay tuned, you'll definitely find it there.
And before I let you go, I want to ask this question, because it was something I found very interesting, and especially with the way the world is these days, it's I think very timely. You're an ambassador for the SOS Foundation. Why is that important to you, and what is that foundation?
So SOS is an organization that was created to help at-risk youth who are going through different things such as like depression, anxiety, bullying, cyberbullying, peer pressure, anything that you can think of along those lines, substance abuse. We want to be that outlet for those who think that they don't have a voice or they don't have a way out. Because ultimately at the end of this dark tunnel, there is a light, and it may be hard to see it, but you just need someone there to help you get through it. And we want to be that somebody there, especially during, of course, with COVID and whatnot. It's like everyone was forced to shut down, and that's when a lot of things that your thoughts start creeping up type of thing. And so people feel like they're alone and they can't go hang out. And sometimes like school and work was like their outlet. But it's like now they weren't able to do it. And so like that was really when SOS like became very, very close to me, because I was like, I want to help people out. Like I want to make sure everyone is okay. And so, but yeah, we do awesome things. It's a nonprofit, and so you can donate, or we also hold auctions on our website, and you can go and like auction off, and you can, or I guess bid. Is that what it is? Yes. Yeah. On like different items. I was like, why can't I think of the word? And every $500 sends a teen or young adult to therapy, which is really cool. So they have somebody to talk to.
That is awesome to see, and definitely something folks should check out. SOS Foundation, give them a quick Google search and see the great work that they do. And like I said, PresleyTennant.com, find her on social media, and she's got a new single, "Gamble on You," dropping at the end of this month, and it's a good one. I enjoyed it, and Presley, this has been a lot of fun, and thanks for having a conversation with me.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a lot of fun.